mic is pretty heavy and my mic stand going woo over the course of time. Good morning, welcome to the thing that we're doing right now, which is live coding. Got some coffee. We have been working on, for the last little bit, an assistant that answers frequently asked questions that I'm hoping to put up on my personal website, you know, when it's done. I only work on it during live coding, so it's going to take a bit. Nick, hi, welcome. A little sip of coffee. So let's start with going over what our assistant can do currently, and I think the easiest way to do that. Cool. I think the easiest way to do that is make sure I'm in the right directory first. Talk to the assistant is what I was trying to say there. So first I'm going to start up the action server. Because we already have some ways to query into the database. Database in this case being this little in data. No, where's my little CSV file? Anyway, I have a CSV file. There we go. Of just different educational resources, just like, you know, websites and videos and whatnot and links to them. And I want people to be able to get information out of this little CSV, which this is a CSV version. It's actually a Sqlite database in order to get their questions answered. And so far we have a way for people to ask for one thing. And what the action server is doing is it's running the Python code that we've written previously that lets us interact with our, try checking the chat because the mic is in front of it. Nope, focus, there we go. So we've previously written an action that will let us query one field at a time, and the field is specifically the type of resource, whether it's a video or a book or something else. And now let's, so it's activating the Conda environment where I have my Rasa installed. Personal website bot, make sure I'm in the right directory. And then we can launch the assistant. If I launch the assistant without the action server running, I would still be able to talk to the assistant. I just wouldn't be able to query the database. Second. All right, so let's talk to our assistant. Hi, Nelson. I'm looking for a ML course. So if somebody wanted to learn about machine learning. Okay, so this was identified as the wrong intent. So this was identified as the out of scope intent, and it should be the, I think I called it like looking for resources intent. Can you recommend a course? So at this point, so at this point, we should run a query in the database, and as you can see by the fact that we got a response that there was no response says that nothing matched our query, and I want to show you an example where something did match. Hi Enrique, hi Omar, to the chat. Please stay focused. I'm talking to the camera but also a little bit to myself. What are some resources you recommend? There we go. Okay, so this is the two-part dialogue, and we weren't asked it last time because I used the word course, so it was picked up as the thing that we were looking for, and I'm going to say book with a capital B, and now I should get a resource out. So a couple of things that are going on here, and now I get this book on text mining with R by Julia Silge and David Robinson. Ooh, and R, I know the Tidyverse folks just launched a big improvement to their various text tools to better handle like a larger range of Unicode characters. So if you've been working on a language that isn't super well supported by the Tidyverse, hopefully now that's not going to be as big of a problem. So this is what we have so far. A couple of things that could be better. So one thing is that here where I ask for a course, this is a lowercase c. And in my database, it is an uppercase C, which means that because there's not an exact match, I'm not getting any results back, even though I think that I probably would want results back, given that there's just a difference in the capitalization. Is one thing. And the other thing is, right now, there's only one thing that we're asking about. So the type of material, whether it's a book or a course or a video. But I think that it would make sense for people to also be able to ask about the subject. So NLP or machine learning or Rasa. So that's what we're hoping to do today, is finish having a way to ask about 2 things at a time. Nick said book or book should take both inputs. Yeah, it definitely should. And I am hoping actually that the way that we handle things, so I can talk about what our current plan is. All right, I can't scroll over. There we go. I will say I don't think Visual Studio is designed to be used at this level of Zoom, but it is easy on the eyes, my eyes and yours. So here is the sort of approach that we looked at last time. We also did a little bit of refactoring last time, and we also fixed a bug. So it actually, the thing that I just demoed works well. So our general process is going to be, first we'll look, yeah, so Nick says, but customer can type anything. Yeah, that is the trick, right? So in a usual situation where someone's querying a database, they're usually like familiar with what's in the database, but because this is like a quick way for people to ask questions, they're not necessarily going to know what's in the database already, or they wouldn't be good candidates for users of the assistant, right? But I'm not saying y'all wouldn't be able to use the assistant. I'm just saying, like, I can't expect that people who come to use the assistant are going to already know what's in the database that they're querying. I want this to be like a very fluid interaction. So that's what in this query process, first we're going to try to handle multiple fields at the same time, and then we'll try to find things that are similar. So we'll use a like clause in SQL, which should find things that are close but not exact, which should be able to handle that sort of capital B, lowercase b. Nelson says, is it possible to make a sequence of questions and store them for a later query? Absolutely it is. And the way that I would do that would be with a form. Sorry, I haven't checked through the chat. It's still behind the mic. Rasa docs. Up. So, okay. I think it's in the domain where we talk about forms. Yeah. So forms are a way in Rasa of quickly getting multiple pieces of information at once. And the way that you would store those pieces of information would be in slots, which are like variables that are kept over the course of your conversation. Yeah, so we might end up doing a form. The first thing that I want to do is make sure that we can get our get the Python code running to do those sort of multi-field queries, and then go back and get the conversation a little bit smooth. Because what exactly our Python code can handle is going to dictate how the conversation goes. Yeah. Also, I forgot that like existed, and somebody last week was like, Rachel, you should use like, and I was like, yeah, I should use like. So cheers to that person. Thank you so much. Yeah. Nelson says, is it an intent or a story? Good question. So it would be a slot is the term that you'd want to look up. And we actually do have some slots in this assistant. So this is helpful because I think it'll help make sense about what we're doing. So we have in our domain, we have some intents, including an FAQ intent. And then we have these entities. So entities are named things where people will use like a small set of terms to refer to them, or where they follow a very specific pattern. So like an address would be an entity, or a person's name would be an entity. And these are things that I am extracting from the text. And We also have slots. So slots are pieces of information you're storing. They're variables, right? So I have this variable resource topic, and it can take the values of these entities or another thing. And then we have this resource type text, which can take the value of this entity, or, you know, the way that it's set up right now, it's just going to take the value of the entity, because if you have a slot with the same name as an entity, it will automatically fill it for you. But slots could be anything. They could be any data structure. They could be, you know, got in different ways. You can set slots in your Python code. So if you wanted something like, you wanted to be able to attach, let's say, unique transaction key to a specific conversation, you could do that. So that's sort of the general way that we're doing. Omar says, is it necessary to declare all the values in the NLU? For example, if the boss asks, what's my name? Should I list all the names I want in the NLU, or just have an entity and extract it as a slot? I would definitely extract it as a slot. If you have a question like, please enter your name here, you don't actually need to extract that as an entity. What you can do is you can say, hey, I want this slot to be filled by whatever text comes next, and then store that. So for something very open-ended, because people's names can be a wide variety of different things, I think that's probably what I would do. Or I would ask, like, how would you prefer for me to refer to you as, or something like that. Yeah, good question. And I think, I don't know if it's out yet. I know Vincent was working on something around names. I'm not sure if it's gone up on the channel yet. Got a little peekity-poo. No. But that will hopefully be coming at some point in the future, so keep your eyes out for that. Can I fill slots programmatically without asking for it? I might want to query information based on user ID, which I already know in the application where the chatbot is placed. Yes. So for some things you don't need a slot, and that is information that's stored in the tracker. I'll pull up the tracker. And this is all still relevant because the way that we're going to get the information that we put into the query is going to come, in our case, from slots, but it could also come from other pieces of information. So let's... Where's the tracker discussion? I think it's in the, yeah, it's in the architecture. So the tracker store, you know, carries pieces of information about the conversation. And if you, actually, I think this will be an easier way to show. So if you type, so VV for show me all the text, once the conversation starts, you should see a lot of information that's been got from the tracker. Models. Great. Okay, so a lot of this stuff here is going in for the tracker. So we have a single, like, object. It's JSON, possibly, by default in the local memory store. Don't quote me on that. It's in the docs. But we have a specific tracker, a specific ID for the conversation. When the same user uses your assistant over multiple conversations, that can be stored to the same user, so that information's already created for you. It has all of the events that have happened over the course of a conversation, so everything you've said, everything the assistant said, all the, like, you know, information about how the conversation went, all the things that, you know, the assistant said back. Anyway, so a lot of that information that's like, has this person talked to the assistant before, what happened during the conversation, that's all stored in the tracker, and you can also access that from the SDK in your Python file. Hopefully that's helpful. How can I download a file in a message Telegram? I don't know. I would ask on the forum about that. Do I have a... I think I have a little, yeah, form. Okay. Omar says, but for example, if the user types in my name is Omar, I want to store all the sentences in the slot, just Omar. Yeah, then you would need some sort of NER or entity recognition for that. Vincent's video sets the name slot with an action. Is it out? I thought it wasn't out. Okay. I trust you on that. So all this is to say, the information that we're getting about the type of the topic of the resource we are extracting and going to store in a slot, and then the type, so like book, course, etc., we're storing in another slot called type. So I already have a way to extract this topic, and I already have a way to extract this type, which I think is what people would ask, right? I think people would ask like, hey, do you know a good book about machine learning, or do you know a good online course about NLP? And I don't think people would be like, can you recommend anything specifically by, I don't know, Julia Silge? That is my guess about how conversations will go. And we'll find out if I'm right when we start doing conversation-driven development. Best way to translate to Portuguese. It depends on what you're doing. I know there's a lot of translation APIs out there. I don't know how well they work going into Portuguese. Enrique says, I promise I've seen it. No, I believe you. I will admit, I don't watch every video that goes up on the Rasa channel. I do watch a good chunk of them before they go up, the ones that are edited, but not all of them. And we had the summit last week, so I was a busy bee. All right, so what have we got so far in our code? And I remember refactoring this, and I don't remember everything that we did in the refactor. So let's just do a little peek in here and get myself reacquainted. All right, so we have this query resource type. So this is what our assistant can do currently. You can say, hey, I want a book, and you can get information on the book. And yeah, just the name. And we create a connection to our database file, which is Sqlite, as I mentioned. And then we're gonna get the slot resource type. And then we're gonna set the name to type, because this select by slot method that comes from this class that we configured last week takes in a slot name, which is what are we filtering by? No, sorry, what are we selecting by? And then the slot value, which is the actual data that we're looking for. These are maybe, no, I think those are okay names. I was trying to think if those names were confusing. I think they're fine. And then we return the text of those query results. And for this method, I believe we will return only one row, and if multiple rows are returned, we will randomly select one. And then the dispatcher, so this is what sends messages back to the user, says, hey, this is the result, and I do a little bit of, text template stuff so people can get their results back as a human sentence. Yeah, good luck, Omar. I would check the video on actions, I guess. I think that's what it would. Oh, thanks, Hitesh. The chat. They are not being as chatty. All right, and then this relies, so this is specifically for querying the resource type. This relies on this class that we refactored. Creates a connection. So creating a connection to the Sqlite file. So we pass in the path to that file. And then this one, query all rows in the tasks table. Okay, and here is where we have written the SQL command. So select star from edu resource, and this is the name of my database. So this is not very extensible, but I'm only going to have one table in my, if I wanted to make this more extensible, I would make this a variable and let people query multiple database tables, but I only have one table, so I don't think it matters that much. And then here, where the slot name is slot value in quotes and text string. So this is the actual SQL query that's going to be passed to our Sqlite database. And then we're going to get all of the rows that are returned for that query and return those. And then we will, okay, oh, I remember. So it used to be that there was just one function, I'm pretty sure, one function that got the rows and then translated them into text. And we have separated those so we can do stuff with the query results separately. And then for this one, rows info as text, return one of the rows randomly selected, passed in as human readable text. If there are no rows, return text to that effect. So we are randomly sampling, and then these are just the, so in our database, here we go. These are just the fields that correspond to the specific pieces of information we're communicating back to our user. So this is like the type of material. So try the course by course, and then this is the name of the material. So try the course, I don't know, Fast AI by Jimmy Howard and Rachel Thomas. You can find it at URL. So the information just gets put together. And this is like, you know, generating text using templates is, you know, very, very old school. Omar says, is there a way to store all the conversations between the user and bot in a database? Yes, it happens automatically. I want to say in a but yes, so if we so these events databases were created automatically when we ran our system for the first time, and I don't think it'll be viewable. But yeah, these just store, you know, everything that's happened in the Good questions. Okay, so I have forgotten the syntax for like, so I think the first thing that makes sense to me is to, I've been thinking about this. I think it actually makes sense to always do like, because again, people are not going to know precisely what's in the database. So, yep, the tracker store, yep. Sqlite, like. Okay, so I have just pulled this up really quick. I've not used Sqlite before, and SQL syntax can vary quite a bit. Okay. Where column, like, I see, 200. Hmm. I see. So I'm looking for fuzzy matching. And this is using a pattern, which is not going to work super well for what I'm working with right now. SQLite fuzzy match. That is what I want, Stack Overflow. All right. In, please. All right, extension modules allows you to I thought this would be easy. I don't think it's going to be. Beans. A programming story. So what I'm just looking for here is a way to do fuzzy matching, right? Select, match. Right. Also, it would require changing quite a bit of what I do. So, thinking. Sqlite specify acceptable edit distance fuzzy matching. So edit distance is the number of characters you need to change in order to get from one to the other. Someone else has also had questions about this. I want to do fuzzy searching. Levenstein distance is the edit distance as well. Near misses search. Poundex. Yeah, and I think this is going to get too deep into, well, I mean, not too deep, but like deeper than I want to get into Sqlite. So this is a quandary. I thought this would be easy. I don't think it's going to be easy. Osvaldo says, remember to use lower or upper to avoid upper or lower cases. So, see, now past Rachel did not set me up in a very good way right here because I have used sentence case throughout, which means that the first character is uppercase and everything else is lowercase. And I know there's a Python function, I think it's like 2-sentence or something, that I think might end up having to be what I do. I don't want to though. And the other problem is these are a single field, right? So for some of the things, the topic is NLP. For some of the things, the topic is NLP. For some of the things, the topic is NLP, comma, space, Rasa. Okay, so ways that we could do this. I thought we could do fuzzy matching in Sqlite, which I don't think we can do. We could do fuzzy matching outside of Sqlite. Right, so we know like the things that we could match to ahead of time, and then we do fuzzy matching to select the closest one. That's definitely an option that we could do that we've done before in Livecoding. Another thing that we could do is like manually be like, hey, if they've said, you know, anything like this, like uppercase or lowercase, then we'll do it that way. Like the thing I like about fuzzy matching is that it can handle typos better. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I want people to be able to type naturally, and if there's something close, to be able to get the results. So if we, so if we look back at this conversation we had, right, where we looked for a course, C-O-U-R-S-E, but lowercase c, no results were returned, and if we'd searched with an uppercase C, results would have been returned. Which is perhaps obviously not ideal. But it's not just capitalization, right? I also want people to be able to make queries that are just sort of like close in terms of how many characters overlap. And yeah, I want to be able to use an edit distance to do that. Nelson says fuzzy matching returns results we don't may want. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think that So it's not going to be a great use for everything, right? In this case, I think it makes sense because this is really an informational thing. So if people get like a slightly different piece of information, like it may not be an ideal user experience, but I think it's still fine. There's no, PII in the data set. It's fine. Nobody's going to get, doxed by someone doing typos. And for me, I think it is more important that people get some information out, even if it's not exactly that they were looking at, than they get, we don't have any resources, we don't have any resources, we don't have any resources over and over again, if that makes sense. Summer's tokenizers. Yeah. Seems like an problem is the frustrating thing. And I think some varieties of Sqlite can do fuzzy matching. Yeah, SQL Server, you can get it. Yep. Sorry, I was just T-SQL. Yeah, so I think it's just like this flavor of SQL doesn't have the thing that I am looking for. And what I want to avoid, so what I'm thinking about is we could have just like a list of all of the things that are in each of the fields and then match to the closest one, which I think is probably what I'm going to end up doing, but that's an approach that's not going to scale. Because it means that you're querying an entire column every time you someone makes a query, or like once per session when somebody makes a query, though, because I want to dynamically generate the list of things. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Decision made. Frustrating. Okay, so what I want to do, I think I'm going to actually change this a little bit. Yes, this will work. Sorry, so this will work because we know which piece of information going into the query is trying to look for each column. So I can look within the column to find the closest one. And because this is a small data set and because Sqlite is pretty fast, I don't think this should add too much latency. Don't do this with a lot of rows. Do not do this with a lot of rows. You will get yourself in a unhappy place. But I think it's a little bit hacky, but I think it should work because we're working with a very small assistant. So yeah, let's do it in this class. Ooh, do I want to do it? I don't think I do. So I'm trying to figure out which class I want it in, or if I want to make a new class. And I think it makes sense to put it in the database querying methods. Do I? Does it need to be in a function? Yes, it does need to be in a function. Sorry, it does need to be in a class. Yeah. Nick says we can use regex in SQL. Yes, we can, but regex works well if I know, because the problem is people can put anything into the text field, right? And regex is good for a lot of things, but I guess you could do fuzzy matching with regex, but it would be kind of rough. And I don't really have any desire to do that personally, so. Hi, Joss. Can we use MongoDB to store and make queries? Yeah, yeah, you can use any database you want. I'm just using Sqlite because it's built into Python 3 and it's small and fast. And I thought it would have everything that I need. And as it turns out, it doesn't. Hi, Pisa. I want to collect feedback from users to run the database. And we collect it without fallback inference. Yeah, I would just, you know, have a conversation pattern where you ask for feedback. Okay, so the exact process that we want to go through is going to depend on type. Closest I'm just using this to get all my my arguments. It value. Okay, so have the connection. Okay. Okay, and then we want to get we actually only want to filter, we want to get one column. We want to get all the responses from one column. Get all SQL all unique values in column, which is a field, I'm pretty sure. Yep, okay, so it is does Sqlite have distinct? I guess we'll find out. And then slot name is the name of the column. Yeah. All right, fantastic. So what this is doing is that it's going through the slot name column, which we are providing, and it's getting all of the distinct values. I'm going to create a second connector to do this. Just so that we don't accidentally write over our other queries whenever we do this. Is it necessary? Maybe? Yeah, yes, I think it is. I think that's a good idea because we don't want to, yes. I'm deciding to do it. Okay, so now we have all of the distinct values, and I believe they will be in an array or a list. All right. Yeah, it's a list. Okay, fantastic. And then we want to find the closest match in that. I think we actually need to spell. Possible was fetch all, dot fetch all, yeah. Okay, so at this point we have the data. So this should be a list of all the values are from our specified column. Have I worked in Dialogflow also? I have looked at the docs as where I've gotten in Dialogflow. Yeah, I very consciously did not look at Dialogflow before I joined Rasa and have only sort of like poked around with it a little bit since. Osvaldo says FTS5 extension. I don't want to mess with extensions, man. That just seems like a lot of work. If it turns out we like it would save us time and work, then I guess I'll do it, but I don't want to. The reason I used Sqlite was because it was supposed to be easy and lightweight. And R. Okay, so at that point we have a list of all of the things from it, and then we need to do fuzzy matching. And I'm looking for a so there's a package for this called, you know what, I am gonna use it. It's called Fuzzy Wuzzy, but apparently that is a pejorative term towards a group of people from Africa, which I did not know. And I think I will, to avoid saying it a lot, I will import it as something else. Is it possible to change sentences in third person to first person? Yeah, I would use a rule-based system to do that. And it sounds like something that there's you might see if someone's built like a CFG context-free grammar rule-based system for that sort of thing, but yeah, very doable. I should say very doable methods exist. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be quick or easy, especially depending on the language, and especially if you have things like formality markers or I don't know, changing the person is also going to change things like evidentiality, so it could be quite complex, but it is possible. Okay, and I should have it downloaded as well. Sorry, I'm looking at documentation in another tab is why I'm just sort of staring off into the distance. Yes, so, and it's, Levenshtein distance is, you know, number of times you need to change, add, or delete a character to get from one string to another. Good. And I already have it installed locally, so I think I just need process from it. So that will help me avoid, again, saying it a lot. Also, I should not. Yeah. Import process. Okay, fantastic, from that library. Oh, what's the library name? Yeah, I don't know if there's a specific library that will do it. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that sort of like grammatical transformation was something that was much more active as a research area like a couple decades ago. So you might find like some, I don't know, like Perl code that does it. Yeah, and it'll depend on your language as well. Although that seems like a pretty good like, you know, term project for some sort of grammar engineering course. So you might be able to find some code on GitHub. And I just poke around. I don't know anything. I don't know any specific libraries off the top of my head. I just know that it is something that has been done and is doable given current tools. Not my specific area of expertise. Mm. Fermented resource, select slot equals slot value, like 8 minus C. Okay, so that would be something in the try this query using regex. So that would match something that has something in lowercase ASCII range and the uppercase ASCII range. I would say the issue there is that that would probably work for the uppercase, lowercase, but we also have, you know, spaces and commas and stuff and other things in our database field. So I think that that might not be super extensible given all of the fun things that are happening in the data in the database, unfortunately. English. Oh, if it's in English, you're almost certainly going to be able to find something. Yeah, I would search for like change person sentence something. Maybe grammar engineering might be a good course, a good search term. Maybe like rules-based system might be a good search term. There might even be something in the NLTK book, the Natural Language Toolkit book. I'm doing a capstone project. Our sponsor asked whether we could route the customer question to a Django backend server to query on the database if Rasa couldn't answer the question. Yeah, I think you're going to run into the same problems that I'm running into here, vis-a-vis the difficulty of handling, you know, lots of different types of things that people might want to do. But yeah, I think it should be doable. We can customize the regex. Yeah. Like, I think regex is definitely a good way to do this if you know that the things that are going to be put in will be in a fairly, or the things that are added to the database in the future will be with a fairly narrow range of formats. The wider variety of things you might have, the rougher it's going to be to write a regex, and I am avoiding them here because I'm planning to add more things to the database over time, and I cannot be bothered to remember specific formats for adding data, to be just like completely completely honest. Does Sqlite have a match? That's the other thing, is I am not super familiar with this version of SQL, and I don't necessarily want or need to be, so. Okay. So let's look at what we need to do next. So here we want to get the most common of these. Oh, yeah, super easy. Okay, so we just have the input text and then the list of things that we're trying to match in, and fun fact, we already have a list of things that we want to match against, so that should be pretty straightforward. Process, extract, extract one. Okay, so the text that we're matching is the slot value, and we are matching it against, nope, that, just the slot value, thank you. Nope. Just the slot value. I don't know why I can't copy and paste, but I'm just gonna pretend it doesn't bother me. And then we're going to get it from our column values, which is a list. So this should extract the thing that is the closest match to our slot value from the list of things that show up in the column. And then we want to and then we want the, so it's going to return, it looks like a tuple with the score second and the thing first. So I want to get the 0th item out of this tuple. match, and then we will return top match. Will that do? Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Pragma case sensitive like equals false can help too. Yeah, if this path that we're on right now ends up not working, we can give that a try. And spicy might help you. Yeah. For the transferring things from first person to third person. Oh. All right, and what is this function doing? Let's add a doc string because we're not monsters. Given a field and text input, find the closest match. Gonna column. Find the closest match. There we go. Okay. Let's give this a shot. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to adjust our query resource type before we start doing a multi-field thing. And what we're going to do here is for slot value, we're going to do this, and then get closest value. Oh, we got to do it after slot name, huh? Because we need the name to figure out what's in the column. You gotta go back over with your other white space buddies and be in the place where you should be. Okay, let's see if this works. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kill my existing action server because this action server is using the version of the file that was current when we started it, which is no longer current because we added a bunch of stuff. Go into the directory where our Rasa assistant lives. Let's turn on logging and see if we get any errors. All right, no errors. Solid first try. And now let's start a second window, and here Rasa shell. Let's talk to our assistant and see if we can get it to recommend us a course. Let's go to the directory where our assistant is and then see if we can get our assistant to recommend us a course. And I would say if you're super new to NLP, the resource I would recommend is in my edu resource thing right here. The Draftsky and Martin text is speech and language processing is probably the most common intro text that people recommend. So. Oh, please work. Because it should be capital B, lowercase ugh. I don't know why I said that. Lowercase o-o-k. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. Internal server error. Oh, that's fun. Name get closest value is not. Oh. Yeah, I'll see how that could be. Yep. All right, let's try this again. So I should be able to just go back to my here and then Control C. Yeah, that's still not working. There's a bug right now where that's not working. That's okay. My personal website bot. So fun actions. So I've just updated my code, so I need to restart my action server. You didn't need to restart your action server? I always do. I guess I sort of assumed you needed to. Maybe you don't. All right, so let's give this another shot. So it should still be connected to the action server running on the same port, so we shouldn't need to go back and redo it all. Can you suggest? Now that is interesting. If it had run and not found anything, it would give me the output that's like, we couldn't find any results. I Love Food says, use NodeMon? Yes. There is a spacey method. Okay, that's good to know. The best book I've ever seen. All right, let's go back here. What went wrong? Okay, what happened? I bet I know what it is. I bet I know what it is. All right, let's see. So I bet what's happening is that the information is being got out with quotes around it, and so now it's a double quote, and then I think it's being quoted twice. I bet that's what it is. I bet. So let's see. All right, and if we know those are going to be double quotes, we got to make this f string work. Yeah, I think that'll work. So when I think what happened was when we did all this thing and we got the first thing, the first item from the tuple, NodeMon means you don't have to restart every time. The book, speech and like, not how you spell processing. See, this is the other reason why I want to do fuzzy matching, is so that people who are making correctly spelled queries can get the information out of my incorrectly spelled also this CSV is in the code, which is available on my GitHub. Yeah, so I think what happened was when we extracted this tuple, it was a text string, so it came in double quotes. And then it was looking for, when we ran this query, because remember it used to be in single quotes, it was looking for single quotes, double quotes, and it's like, that's not the right syntax. So I've adjusted it slightly, and I think that should work. And I'm actually just going to see if I can get the same results back. I don't know if changing the underlying actions oh, it did. So I can tell that it updated. I haven't had to restart my action server at all. Good news. I can save myself a lot of time. So I can tell that it's updated here because I have the single quotes here that I have here when that is a change. Okay. Operational error near book. Syntax. And it's definitely here in this one and not here in this one. Can it be because I can only have one connection at a time? Possibly. Nope, that's not it. So I'm just trying editing the query slightly and seeing if I can fix whatever the problem is, because I don't know what the problem is. I have the same error message? Or do? So I don't know if this I wonder if what's happening. So I'm wondering if what's happening is happening because of the previously, right? We've been able to get could that be it? Very possibly. I will give this one more shot, and that might be it. And then I'll try restarting. Yeah, I think Hongkyun covered my error. Because I'm not restarting. Yeah, and so when you can see here that I'm getting an error with single quotes, and those are something that I replaced because excuse me, it was double quotes. It was double quotes when I started the action server, but I am going to try restarting just in case. All right, that's the right one. All right, action function. All right, let's give this another shot. And you. All right. Okay. No such column. Book. So it looks like at some point should be slot value and yeah, it was in quotes. So my thinking is that when we got the information back from the process match, we were getting a string back, so it had the quotes in it. Try adding them again. So the thing that is the error here is that book should be the slot value, but here it is being treated as the slot name, perhaps because it is not in quotes. So we'll try putting it in quotes and see what happens. And I was just going through and making sure that I didn't confuse slot value and slot name at any point when I was writing my code, which very likely no such column book. Yeah, so you can see here the quotes have been added, but we still have the problem. Slot name should be the type of resource, right? So it should be like slot name should be type specifically. That's the text that should be in there. Yeah, slot name. We are manually setting it to type here. Slot value here. So this is working. We can tell that this is working because the information, like this text string is book with a capital B, and the text string that we put in was book with a lowercase b. So we are successfully doing the fuzzy matching and getting the text out. The problem is here, right? When we're running the query, slot name, slot name, slot value, slot value, slot value, slot value. value. Yep, so this should be, this is correct, but it is being treated as the name of the column. Why? Place it with double quotes. These double quotes? Is there a schema in the table and column names? It is this. So I turned a CSV into a Sqlite file, and this is like everything that's in the database. It's not big. So the problem is that at some point, oh, I see what's happening. No, you're right. I see what you mean about the double quotes. It is not being treated as a multi-line F string. It is being, yeah. Okay, so I think this should fix it. I mean, famous last words, but we'll see. It feels right. Can I count to 3? No. Okay, so this means that this whole... So I think what might have been happening was because these were single quotes, this was being treated as 2 separate lines. Although I thought that 3 single quotes and 3 double quotes were identical in terms of splitting a text string over multiple lines. But you know what? I have been wrong before. So many times. Hasn't everyone? Can you suggest a book? That's nothing. That's not, okay, same error. And again, you can see that the error, based on the error traceback, the code has been updated in the way that I just updated it. So I don't think we need to restart the action server. I mean, I think it's probably fine to do every so often anyway. No such column book. Why are these being treated as opposites? All right, let's treat slot name all the way through. Let's just like look at where slot name's being set. Slot name is slot name. Slot name is type. Slot value is being changed. Hold up. Hold up. I think I know what might be happening. Okay, create a connection here. Okay, no, I was right. This should be a connection, and we're just creating a new cursor. We're not creating a new connection. Okay. Yep. No, I don't think that's it. F select where triple quotes. Slot value. Yeah, so this isn't single quotes. Multiple spaces in the column. So the problem here is that the value is being treated as the name of the column. And I don't know why. Can I print the output instead of querying from bot? I mean, I guess I could, but I'm like the query isn't happening. That's the problem. So the query is just like not happening. And 96. No, this is definitely where the issue is happening. Let's see if we can go up a little bit further in the traceback and see what else we see. All right, and then this is the last time we had the error. So you can see here we changed the quotes. And the interesting thing is the first query is running. We know the first query is running to do the fuzzy matching because the case has been updated. So this is happening correctly. I mean, I can try restarting, but I haven't changed much. Why are they getting switched? Why is this being treated as the column? I mean, one thing that we could do, I know we've got triple double quotes. Just see if that makes a difference, if it's the fact that it's, if it's the fact that it's split over 2 lines. I don't know why it would, but it might. Yeah, and we're getting the same thing in 6. Why would it still be in line 96? I mean, the author is treated as 2 columns, not just 1. I'm pretty sure the database is correct because we've been able to like it's worked before, right? Like we've been able to correctly do things. And this is tab separated, so you can see that there are, you know, spaces between things and then tabs. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a tab. This is all one thing. There's a tab. This is all one thing. There's a tab. This is all one thing. Yeah, we can try restarting. Like I can tell that the code is being updated because when I look at the error tracebacks, the error tracebacks show the most recent version of the code. Like, well, I'll give it another shot, but I don't think it's going to change anything. Or this as well, but again, I don't think it's going to change anything. Yeah, no, we get the exact same error. Although, actually, if we look up, so this one says the operation error is near book, and that's in double quotes. And you can see here, this is not in double quotes. We go further up, I close the terminal. Girl. All right. What did I just do that for? I need to. Yeah. Okay, that should work. Because the quotes are being included in the text string, and this F string is literally just pasting things together. So there's already quotes in the text string, then we don't need to worry about adding them ourselves. And now if I run my query again, you can see that okay, so this is a different error than we've been getting. I bet that's an indentation error. I bet that's white space. Okay. So I'm just seeing here if the problem is with the actual text of the that we're querying against in the field. And you can see that this is not, I'm just looking at the same error at the same time. We're getting the same error every time. Okay, so what is happening, I think, is that somehow we are setting the slot name to be the slot type. Yeah, okay, so somehow we are messing things up. I don't know where it is. I'm gonna see if I can find out. All right, so I think I've narrowed down where the error is. Slot name, slot value. Am I passing by name or position up here? Slot name, slot name, slot name. Okay, here we're updating the value using get closest value, slot value. On the trail, like a truffle hunting dog. Interesting. All right, let's try restarting then. We will tell me how to use WebSockets in Rasa. First, let me be on the right thing. I would look at the docs. I would say the WebSocket. I'm not really a web person. I am learning about it, but no, unless your question is something specifically that I've already worked on, which is unlikely. That was a syntax error in my Python code that happened when I tried to run it, so now I am rerunning it. And it's up, it's good, it's running. All right. I see. So when we are getting the information out from our All right. Get just the text from the first item in a tuple. How to extract the first items from a list. Get an item of a tuple. Yeah, no, I'm definitely right about the syntax of getting items from a tuple. Sorry, I just have the documentation available over here. Yeah, no, it's definitely you index in with the square brackets. Wait, do they? No, okay, so here it looks like they might index from 1, but I'm pretty sure they index from 0. Pretty sure. All right. Have I mentioned the table name and query? Yeah. The query has worked before. It's really just the slot names that we are getting out of the fuzzy matching that are the issue. Table name is edge resource, but the separator is not specified, I think. Yeah, so I think what the problem is here is that the slot value I want to be just this, and instead is all of this. And as a result, this is improper SQL syntax. So we're getting weird errors because of it. So I guess I'll just do this and see if that helps. That might help. Seems like it should. Mm -hmm, mm -hmm, mm -hmm. That. I am going to restart just for fun. Who doesn't love restarting their action server a bunch? Nope. Get it. I'm gonna search it out. Nice. Okay, yeah, no, it does that. It was just the formatting. Nice. Okay, and you can see now that the slot value is correctly book. What's what's a good course? There's no way that's gonna work. There's no way this is gonna give me an actual output. It did work. Fantastic. All right. Cool. It was my old nemesis tuples all along. So we have not actually finished the multiple queries, but what we have done is we have, because okay, so I'm trying to think if there's a way that I can really quickly do multiple fields right away, and I don't think there is. But what we have done is we have done, peace out, peace out. We've successfully done fuzzy matching, so people can do sort of whatever they like, which I think. Okay, so we've actually done the thing that I wanted to do first, which is good because I think it'll make our life a lot easier going forward, because then we only have to run 2 queries, right? So yeah, that's what we'll do next time. Syntax. I'm gonna connect my bot to my website to do stuff like remind There is a tutorial on, if you're a Django person, on collecting a Rasa assistant to Django that I have, so that could be a helpful way to start. And Grok will help. Yeah, definitely. Basically, you just need to host your Rasa assistant on a place where you have some endpoints, and then point the appropriate front end to those endpoints. Upper and lowercase query, please. All right, all right. Yeah, so it should definitely be able to handle. We'll do one last proof of concept, but it should be able to absolutely handle it. And the benefit of the approach that we took here is that we can handle things like typos and you know, variant spelling and stuff like that. So let's do another one. We can customize a UI part using a framework like Angular and then have a WebSocket connection from there. Yep, absolutely. What's a good... Do some little funky case things. That worked. And recommend a course. I want to watch a video. I know I'm just adding characters in there. So as you can see, we no longer have to be like all that close to the thing that we're doing. It has absolutely introduced a little bit of latency, but I think that that's fine for getting an actual query most of the time, like an actual result most of the time. Yeah, and it's handling quite a lot of language variations, so I'm happy with that. So the thing that we do next is, we actually did sort of like the fuzzy matching validation this time, which I was planning to do next time, and then next time we'll do the complex queries, which is what I was planning to do this time, because I think it's going to be easier to write complex queries if we've already done our validation. All right, thank you everybody for joining today. I'm tired in the brain. We will be back next Wednesday for office hours with somebody awesome. Everybody's awesome. Ariane, one of our wonderful CSE folks. So if you've got questions about, you know, deployment or front ends or stuff, bring them next Wednesday, same time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Next Thursday, we'll start a new paper, and then next Friday, we will be continuing with this project. Actually doing the complex queries and not the data validation. The data validation. So thank you for joining today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed, well, or at least found it helpful, the adventures in Sql, and I'll upload all of this to the GitHub project and merge it in. And I will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.